I'm going to tell you a story. A story that I haven't really shared fully. I've touched on it in various places, and I've had conversations with people individually, but I've never been sort of openly verbal about it. But it's important because it's the most significant time of my life so far, and it's, I guess, what's dictated my entire life path, and so it's worth sharing. It's my birthday month this month, and that always brings me to a very reflective space. And so it just felt really important for me to share my story with you. And also, I recently wrote a story in this anthology. It's a wonderful anthology. As I said on the front, 75 stories of how changing your perspective can change your life. And I recently received my hard copy, and this is really a real substantial book. It's a beautiful book with so many inspiring stories inside, and mine is one of them. And in rereading my story this morning, and again, it brought tears to my eyes. It catches me every time. It was such an important catalyst, a real pivotal point in my life, and so I felt like I wanted to share it with you. The book's available in a hard copy, and it's also on Kindle, a couple of quid on Kindle. So if you're intrigued at all, then I'll pop the link with this video, and you can head over and check it out. But I want to read you a few words from the beginning of my story, if I may. My story is called Glimpses of Genius. Before I met him, I had played it safe. I played out my life so safely and quietly, I barely made a dent. Spiritless conformity and tantrums in the company of those closest to me. These were the symptoms of what I now see as me not fitting into the life I had created, or maybe the life that had been created on my behalf, and one that I had blindly stepped into. I was stuck in the world of people-pleasing, not wanting to be seen as different or be the centre of attention. Playing outside the rules would change all that, and I shied away from it all. My innate curiosity was not yet strong enough to break through these barriers of society's control and expectation. There may have not been one specific moment, nothing that screamed at me, "This is it. This is what you have to do now." It was instead a creep of realization. It was a steady enlightenment that there was another way to live. It was a realization of just how small a life I had been living, and how much that dulled my soul. As it neared Christmas 2012, that realization reached a crescendo. I was working as an architect, and from the outside, my career looked great. It had glamour and prestige, and the company had won numerous awards, and it was in a studio set in a beautiful location in the middle of the countryside. But inside, my soul was dying. This wasn't my life's calling. This wasn't my path to the fulfillment that I yearned for. I felt this deeply, yet I didn't know what my path was. How could I leave the safe life that I knew until something else was ready for me to step into? I'm going to leave it there. It goes on for a few more pages. But yeah, if you want to know the rest, you have to buy the book. But this was a pivotal point in my life. This was the significant moment in which I made the leap, in a way. I guess that's probably obvious, because if you've read my Including Cake website, blog, about page, then you'll know what happened next. I made the leap. And it came to the point that the idea of leaving, of quitting the life that I knew, was actually less scary than the idea of staying, than the idea of coasting through life in neutral. You know, when we reach our deathbed and look back on our life, what are we going to regret? Is it that we didn't take those chances, take those risks, have that adventure, tap into our heart and think, what is it I want to do with my life? Give ourselves the opportunity to find that space, to find that drive. in the idea of not doing those things. As I neared my 30th birthday at that point, you know, that real life check moment of, what am I doing with my life? There was a lot that was going well for me, but it wasn't my calling. And the strength of that voice, that yearning, that deep inner knowing was just too strong, and I broke away. There was a particular trigger that this process had, and my story talks about what that was. And it was an incredibly difficult time. And looking back, you know, if I'd had a coach, or I had people around me back then in those times to, you know, help me pull through those really icky bits, the real tough times when you're shifting, you're growing, you're changing, it's not easy. And it's still not easy, which is still why I surround myself with people that help me stand in my greatness when I don't see it for myself. We all need those people in our lives. We all need those people to help us step up and be that person that we know we can be inside, reach that potential we've all got within us. And it's okay if you're happy with your life, if you're happy coasting, that's totally cool. But I know for me, and for so many people I speak to, there's a light, there's a flicker in their eyes that lights up when they begin speaking about what could be. And yet they're not willing, they're not allowing themselves to step into that space. Having been through this myself, I know what it feels like, and that's why I'm so passionate about holding out my hand to support you in stepping up, to give you permission to play outside the rules, to rewrite the ending. You know, this is a book, I'm just a chapter in this book, but at any point we can begin a new chapter. We can rewrite the ending that's predetermined for us. It's all within our control. And the only thing that we can do is to shift direction, to make those changes. It's within our control at any given moment, in any given breath, in any given morning we wake up. We can change the course of that day. It's scary and exciting all in the same moment. I recently launched a program. It's kind of a mentorship coaching program, because I wanted to use that opportunity to really help guide based on my experience, as well as coach and hold space. And you know what, if that program's not for you, I'll give a link to the details below. That's totally cool, but I'd love an opportunity to have a conversation with you. If you feel there's more in your life, if you feel that you're coasting along in neutral and that's just not good enough anymore, then please reach out to me, because I'd love to speak to you. I'd love to have the opportunity to just share that space with you, just to share my experience if that would serve you, but just hear where you're at. Just give space to where you're at and acknowledge the greatness in that. It's my birthday month, and I feel a real calling to create space for as many people as possible to just allow their journey to have a voice, allow them to appreciate and to acknowledge and to be with where they're at right now. I want you to be with where you're at right now and say, you know, that's okay, but also acknowledge and give space and allow the dreams to become possible. Allow those thoughts of what could be, that potential, allow that to grow within you. And let's have a conversation about that. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. But this is my story, Thresholds. And it's a beautiful book. As I say, it's on Kindle for just a few quid. You can read my story, which I've lost the page number now. So I think it's 241. And so many other inspirational stories of moments, of thresholds. You know, we all have these thresholds, these moments in our lives. It may just be a split second that we don't even recognise. But if you choose to recognise that threshold, you have the choice in which direction to move. Which is exactly what I did. It's as simple as that. You have a choice, and it's giving yourself the choice through acknowledgement, through awareness, and through allowing yourself to be seen, allowing that voice to be heard. So reach out to me if you'd like to have a conversation. I'd love to hear where you're at in your life and where you want to go. Much love to you.